Welcome back to Check the Plug, and today we're going to be reacting to another horror story. And thanks for 70, I almost said 70,000. Thanks for 70 subscribers. It really means a lot. So yeah, it's a horror month, Halloween vibes. Let's get into this horror story.
My car died a while back, and I've been using lifts to get around town if needed. I am within walking distance to a good variety of stores, so it hasn't been too pricey for me. However, I recently needed to go to the pharmacy and the pet supply store, both too far to walk. So I go to the pharmacy to pick up my prescription and call my ride to the pet supply store. The driver who picked me up seemed initially very polite, asking how my day was, commenting on the weather, etc. But things got weird very fast. He abruptly asked me if I was hungry. When I said no, he began to insist that we stop at a restaurant to get food, and would not stop until I lied and said that I had just eaten a large lunch. Then he asked if I wanted to get coffee. Again, I said no. He backed off and turned up the radio. A minute later, he asked if I liked music and if I liked to dance. I answered that I don't care for dancing, to which he asked, well, why not? Then he asked if I like to drink, and if so, what bars do I like? I felt very
Bruh.
uncomfortable at this point.
Can you relax?
And said I don't drink much.
Like, so many
Well,
questions.
Why not? He asked again. Not even a little here and there? I lied. The alcohol makes me nauseous. But then he asked if I live alone. I said
Hey.
no, that I live with my husband. He asked how long I've been married and if I'm happy with my husband. Then he casually asked if my husband is a strong guy, if he hits the gym. I began to feel very panicked at this point.
Nah.
Why would this guy want to know if I live alone, or how physically strong my husband is? He was being very pleasant and cheerful the whole time, but staring intently at me through the rear-view mirror, which disturbed me.
Bro.
I lied a third time that my husband was military, and that I was so happy to have him home with me. He became disinterested after I began gushing about my husband, and then briefly turned up the radio so loud it hurt my ears in the back seat. I'm not even kidding. The windows were vibrating from the noise. When we arrived at the pet store, I jumped out of the car and hurried away.
Nah, that guy's an
Once in
extra,
store,
bro.
I took my time near the entrance of the store to ensure that the driver had left. I stayed there nearly 40 minutes. It was rush hour, so I was fairly confident he had received another passenger request and left. After buying feed for my bunny, I headed out and requested another ride. I kid you not, dude was waiting in the parking lot and with his car out in front of me as soon as I walked out the door. He accepted my ride request after blocking me from walking into the parking lot. I jumped out of his car and took my bag of feed out of my hands and bundled it into the car. It all happened very quickly, and looking back, I should have canceled my ride right then and there. I regret not putting my foot down and calling him out on his creepiness. I
Bruh.
freeze up and start
You
panicking.
waited for her.
I tell myself that I'm being dramatic, that it's all just a coincidence. I get in his car and realize with misery that my home address is logged into his GPS.
Oh,
He is very jolly now and asks if I'll be happy to get home. I had a stroke of genius and lied number 4 that I was visiting my friend for dinner. But oh yes, I can't wait to get home later on. It's been such a long day. He didn't seem to like hearing this and gave me the loud radio treatment again. I arrived home and grabbed my bag of bunny feeds so he wouldn't try to help me carry it inside. The driver got out when I did and tried to push a paper into my hand that had his phone number on it, and he said he'll call me tonight when you're ready to go home. Yes, your boy demanded that I call his personal phone to get a ride home after dinner with my friend. I refused, and he tried to force the paper into my hand, grabbing my fingers and crumpling them into a fist around set paper. I lied a 5th time that my friend was driving me home later and dropped the paper on the sidewalk. He finally gave up and got back into his car. I walked up to the door, but then realized that the driver was still parked at the curb watching me. He saw me looking and quickly pretended to mess with his phone. But I suspect he was waiting to see if my friend would come to the door, or if I was lying. I casually knocked on the door, waited a moment, then pulled out my phone as though to call my friend. While making the call,
Bro,
I
he's
decided
just
to turn
staring.
and stare pointedly at him. It worked, and he eventually eased his car out and away. Once he was around the corner, I rushed into the house and locked the door behind me. Thank God, that was the last I saw of him.
That guy is so extra.
I live in a military town, so everyone here is either in the military like my husband and I, or they are the locals. Backwoods redneck type you find near the Bible Belt. Most of the general population is pretty poor. A lot of homeless. A lot of, well, there's no nice way to put it. White trash type folk. I live near a Walmart that I usually go shopping at, and during the day it's filled with your usual Walmart shoppers. At night, however, it's usually full of weirdos. Some normal people there, of course, just trying to grab last-minute groceries or medicine or whatever. But some people who just don't have anywhere else to be, or they're high or drunk, and Walmart is open 24/7, so they just come to hang out there like it's a damn arcade or something. Anyway, it was like 11:30 at night, and I realized my daughter was out of formula. I have to make her bottles for the day every morning for daycare, so I had to go get formula before morning. I told my husband I'd be back in a few minutes and drove down the road. In the baby aisle, I grabbed her formula and stopped to look at a cute dress for her. I was looking through the baby clothes when I saw someone out of the corner of my eye and felt the hairs on my arms stand up. I glanced at him and then did a double take. This man was standing there, just staring at me. He didn't seem to be bothered by the fact that I noticed him.
Bro, he looks so creepy.
I did this weird, nervous fake laugh and said something like, "Oh, these are so cute, huh?" He didn't say anything.
Bruh.
He just kind of smirked and kept staring.
She's trying to like keep it chill,
The dude
you know?
was like a few inches taller than me, maybe 5'9", white, with long hair, and he looked either homeless or severely down on his luck. He had one hand on the crotch of his pants, kind of nonchalantly, like it just rested there. He was maybe 6 feet away from me. I started to get nervous and felt my palms start sweating. I said something dumb about have a good night and just kind of fast walked away. But in my haste to get away from him, I turned left toward the back of the store. I decided to grab a 12-pack of Coke Zero, in addition to the formula, and then decided to get out of there. I hadn't grabbed a cart, so I couldn't really carry much more. On my way back to the front of the store, I heard him shuffling behind me, keeping pace with my speed walking. I tried to calm myself down and write it off as him just also going to check out. I got into the 10 items or less line. He got in the line behind me. He had no items, but he pulled a candy bar off the shelf and set it on the counter behind my stuff. At this point, I could smell him, and he stank like body odor and stale beer. I turned my head away from him and tried to move a little closer to the woman in front of me. He moved closer too.
Nah, he's a creep.
Then I felt something brush my left butt cheek. I turned towards him sharply and said, "Hey!" He mumbled an apology. Keep in mind, I am wearing jeans and a baggy t-shirt. Not that it should matter, but I look like crap, is what I'm trying to get at. I turned back towards the counter and the cashier started ringing up my 2 items. 2 seconds later, the man pinched my other butt cheek. Hard. At this point, I turned around and said very loudly, "Hey, stop touching my ass!" He turned red and the cashier froze. She asked if there was a problem. "Yes," I replied. "This guy just pinched my butt, and I don't know him, and he's creeping me out." She looked unsure of what to do and asked him to please step away from me before she called security. He did, wordlessly, and then just stood there glaring daggers at me. I pretended I didn't notice and paid for my things. As soon as she bagged up the stuff, I booked it out of the store. I got maybe 10 steps into the parking lot when I heard the doors open behind me. Panicking, I turned and saw him marching directly toward me. I bolted. My car was 2 lanes away, and I yanked out my keys and unlocked it while I ran. I could hear him behind me, grunting and panting. I felt adrenaline kick in and tears in my eyes. I ran, swinging the bag and the case of soda, flung myself into the driver's seat, and turned the key in the ignition before the door even shut. I threw it in reverse without looking just as he slammed his body onto the hood of my car and yelled something. I peeled out of the lot at almost 30 miles an hour, and he flew off my hood and into the ground, and I drove the mile home going well over the limit, breathing hard and feeling like I was going to hyperventilate. When I got home, I still had chills. I raced inside and locked the door. My husband wanted to go find him and beat his ass, his solution for pretty much anything. But I just wanted to shut the windows and crawl into bed. I don't know what makes people do the things they do. Do they not realize how terrifying they come off as?
Bro, that's so
I don't even
creepy,
want to leave
like-
my house without mace and a taser and a railgun.
A real gun. Well, I think I might end it there. thanks for the 70 subscribers again. Really means a lot to me. Keep doing the most. Comment, like, share. Really helps out my channel. I'm gonna keep doing new videos. If you have any ideas for me, just like let me know in the comment section. So yeah, I really appreciate the support, and I'm gonna be releasing a new section with pranks and stuff, and I have a collaboration already, so I hope that works out. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this, and hopefully I keep growing with this channel. And yeah, check y'all next time on Chuck the Plug. Stay tuned, and we out.